I don't know what to think about the brass teapot. I really cannot make up my mind. There were bits about it that I thought were really great. There were bits about it that I thought were unrealistic. Granted, the entire film is pretty unrealistic in concept, but in terms of some of the characters' actions, and I just can't work out if it's good. It's apparently based on a comic book series called The Brass Teapot, which I haven't read, but if anybody's read it and you know how it compares, I'd love to know if it's very similar or if it's just kind of loosely based on the concept. And it is the concept that drew me to this film. It's about this couple who have no money, and then they find this brass teapot, and they learn that this brass teapot will give them money every time they are injured, every time they hurt themselves. And as the film progresses, they have to hurt themselves more and more frequently, more violently, in order to get more money. The money starts reducing in quantity, and obviously they're living this increased lifestyle, but in order to keep up with that, they have to start basically abusing themselves. And the whole point, of course, is how far will you go to have money? And money obviously makes the world go round, but I think too many people are obsessed with their bank balance. And this film kind of puts everything into perspective. So the first thing that I thought was unbelievable, and a bit odd to be perfectly honest, and I guess somebody would argue that this is because of the magical allure of the teapot, but our protagonist, Alice, played by Juno Temple, just sees this teapot and she just darts across the road, risks her life, and takes the teapot. And there was no real reason for that. There was nothing, as I said, apart from perhaps arguably this magical pull that the teapot has. There was no real reason for her to do that. So I think that kind of put me in a really bad frame of mind with this film from that point, because I thought, well, there's no explanation for that. I will say it's very well acted, though. Juno Temple does a great job. Michael Angarano as John, absolutely fantastic. Obviously, the thing that I like about this, the thing that makes it quite interesting, is thinking, well, what are they going to do next? How are they going to hurt themselves? And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it starts off with something as simple as, for example, stubbing their toe. I don't believe that was ever actually one of them. To a lot more bloody and violent crimes. And to begin with, it seems quite innocent. You know, I would happily stub my toe, or, I don't know, gently punch a wall to get £10. You know, absolutely. I think most of us would endure a little bit of physical pain to get money. But it goes over the top. And some of it seems alright, some of it's quite believable, but then suddenly these people start turning up and it starts to get just ridiculous. And it goes from being a pretty interesting film about the power of money into a film that's not very enjoyable because it's so chaotic that I feel like it loses the point. And again, maybe that's what the comic books are like, and maybe it's just following that, and I can't blame the film, I have to blame the comics. But I think it tried to do too much and be too ludicrous and saying, look at all this that happens when you are greedy for money, but it did too much. Having said that, it's pretty well directed. I think it's directed by Ramaa, Mosley, written by Tim Macy, and we have some really interesting shots. The editing's really good, the lighting throughout is really good, the acting, as I said, is good. Everything about this film is good, apart from the bits where it's unbelievable, and I can't really think of a better word than good, because it's better than okay, but not great. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really know how I feel about this to put it into words, because I'm just on the fence. I loved the concept. The execution was okay. Everything about it from a cinematography perspective was great. Absolutely no issues in terms of it being a film. But in terms of the narrative, it went off the rails. Probably about 2/3 of the way in. It's thought-provoking. I don't regret watching it. I won't watch it again, but I would recommend it.